So I was asked how the PX EdgeDetect works, and what with it being GDC and all, I thought I'd make a sort of announcement video, I guess, especially as Algorithmic have just announced their new Substance Painter 2, which is pretty cool by the looks of it. So there are a whole bunch of tools in my pack which you can get download from the Substance Share, and we'll go through them in maybe a couple of videos. So let's do this one first. So the EdgeDetect routine, what it does basically is this. Just drag away those. This is quite a good example. Imagine we have a grid of 9 pixels. So here's my grid of 9 pixels like this. Ignore all that other stuff. Come back. There we go. So there's 9 pixels. This is a center pixel, and this is what the pixel processor does. It looks at the surrounding pixels and compares them to the center pixel. If the difference between any of these pixels, any of these individuals as pixels, so it's just doing what's the difference between that pixel and that pixel, that pixel and that pixel, and that pixel and that pixel, etc. If the difference of any of those pixels is over a threshold value, then it works out that this pixel here, the center pixel, must be on an edge boundary of some sort, because there's a difference between the two intensities. And if there's a difference, it decides that this must be white. If there's no difference between, or at least the distance is below the threshold, then it figures that it's not at a boundary and it makes it black. That's how it works. It's a very simple algorithm. This is what it looks like. So this is the basic EdgeDetect. It's got 3 parameters in it. You can see that I've got this just generic photograph here, which I'm using for testing. And you can see that we've got a bunch of different intensities of boundaries. So we've got like quite a light to dark here, and then a dark to not so light here. So because it's sort of continuous in tone, you get a mess unless you start applying a threshold. And as soon as you apply a bit of a threshold, then it starts to pick up the edges. And the bigger I make that, so here the threshold is just enough to pick up that boundary, and definitely enough to pick up that boundary. As I kick the threshold up a bit more, you can see that that edge disappears, and then it will eventually disappear entirely. If I kick the boundary up too much, it will kill off all the edges like that. What this does, AA stands for anti-aliasing, so you can see all these edges are anti-aliased. If you dial up the AA, you'll add a bit of anti-aliasing in here, so you can see there's a nice subtle anti-aliasing glow there. But it will introduce a kind of slight fuzziness across boundaries in general, and so you can choose whether or not you want that function. What the spread does is, let's dial that down again. So what the spread does is this. Basically, if you can imagine this is my grid of pixels, when the spread is 0, all the pixels are adjacent to each other like this. As you increase the spread, it starts this searching further and further away. So what it's doing is it starts looking at these pixels like that, and that keeps being pushed out the further and further you push the spread out. So what the effect is if the spread is 0 like that, you'll get essentially like a 3 pixel edge. As you push the spread out, it will start to thicken the edge up like that. And then at some point it goes a little bit crazy and you start to see these double edges like that. But that can be useful for certain kinds of breakup effects. So that's why I left it in, even though it's a little crazy. But normally I'd expect people to use it with a spread of 0 and a bit of a threshold, possibly no anti-aliasing. But if you want some crazy effects, then you can whack the spread right up and you'll get these weird kind of breakup effects, which can be quite cool. Thanks for watching. So I'm going to do another little video next about the EdgeDetect grayscale and then some of the other tools in the package.